Welcome to Karibu Anawim's 15 Minutes at Dr. Zali's Desk special. Join us as we dive into the topics related to living with a facial disfigurement. Whether you're here for yourself, your loved ones, or for educational and professional insights, this is for you. We start our conversation with clear, understandable terminology. While we use disfigurement, it's for medical and legal clarity. We acknowledge you may relate to terms like visible difference or your own diagnoses. All our presenters have lived experience or work with people living with facial disfigurement. Curious to know more? So are we! Pull up a seat, grab a cuppa, and let's chat around the table with Karibu Anawim's 15 Minutes at Dr. Zali's Desk special.
Hi, and welcome to 15 Minutes at Dr. Zali's Desk, and this is a special guest all the way from Kenya. I'll just bring her on. And her name is Precious. And she's from Human Elevate. Precious, welcome to the program today. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zali. I'm so excited. You said I'm doing this with Mzungu. Thank you.
You're doing it with Mzungu. White person, that is, for everyone else. I've lived over in Kenya. I know where you are in the world. Please share something fun about something that you enjoy doing or something that you'd like to share something about yourself.
Okay, I love dancing. I love just moving my body. It brings so much joy to my life. Considering when I was growing, I never felt beautiful and I never thought my body was worth the dances, worth the movement. And now that God has given me the chance to enjoy life, I find myself loving dancing so much.
I love dancing, and beforehand we were talking about coffee Olamide and Ndombolo. I'm showing my age. I'm showing my age. Yeah. You know. Anyway, sorry guys. I think it's an in-house for all those people who are in the 90s in Kenya. Oh dear. So, Precious, I was just wondering, this story, this is about facial disfigurement generally, and I know that your son has a facial difference, and you yourself have a burn. You know, you've got a burns to how much of your body?
I would say I have second and third degree burns. So my stomach has that degree, and my thighs have some second and third.
Okay, so would you like to walk us through what happened with your burns period?
Yeah. So I was 3 years old when I got burned. That was way back in 1997. I was laying by the side of fire, and before I knew it, because I was really not feeling okay, so I thought, let me go sleep by the side of the fire, like the traditional African fire, the one that is dressed-on. And I slept. I do not remember for how long I had slept before the fire caught up with my dress. And before I realized it was too much. And there's something about African parents. We all know that most parents, anytime they find you in a mistake, instead of first sympathizing with you, you'll first have to answer the question, how did it happen? So I was afraid. I knew I was in the mistake, but I was really afraid that I went and hid myself in a clothes storage box before my dear grandmother found me. So it was not her that found me, but it was her that was now the caregiver, because my mother was not at the village back then. So after staying at the clothes storage box for some time, my aunt found me, and the passers-by helped me. They took me to the nearest dispensary first, and they gave me the first aid. And after a day, I went to an hospital called Machakos General Hospital, where now I began my treatment. The burns, we cannot talk about all the stories because they are quite a lot. But now the burns really affected me. Like, one of my breasts got burned. I have one breast. One of it got burned. It doesn't have a nipple. And also it was pulled down by the fire. When I show you, you cannot really see. But I know Now that I have put a bra on, it's not something that is really noticeable. And my navel was pushed to one side. It's on my right side, more on my right side than where it's supposed to be at the middle. And my stomach feels like a knot, like ropes tightening it, very tight. In fact, sometimes people hold me like this and they feel I have tightened something, maybe to have a flat tummy or something, but it's not true. It's because the burns were that intense. So I grew up like any other normal child. Up to my before my teenage years, I never felt any different.
You
Until
didn't?
now, when I was, yes, I didn't. I knew I was different, but the difference didn't matter. It's like how we say embrace diversity. I knew I was different, but I didn't get any negative effect of living the way I was until I was a teenager.
Okay, because my experience, because guys, I've lived over in Kenya, and Karibu Anuim is actually Karibu is Swahili for welcome, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so welcome to the way of victory, and Kenya has got my heart. And that's the reason why it's called Karibu, because I lived over in Kenya when I was 20. But my experience living over in Kenya, before you go into your teenage years, Precious, is that I experienced stigma.
Yeah.
I experienced, because I was a Muzungu was a white person. So if I'm able to go over to Kenya and I'm able to volunteer my time, which I was teaching English, but people didn't understand back then. I don't know whether or not they understand now, but they didn't understand that if I was volunteering my time, I was giving up my time, I was giving up my own money, I was doing all this sort of stuff. The Australian government was definitely not paying me to go and volunteer. Because I was wondering why, predominantly why women weren't liking to talk to me or become my friends over there. And yes, I was a Muzungu, and that's white person, yeah. But I learnt from another volunteer that pulled me across, and she said to me, the reason why they don't like you is because they think that you are cursed.
Yeah.
So the locals thought that I was a cursed white rich woman, or cursed white rich Muzungu. And so I had that stigma attached to myself. So I'm thinking, how could you? I mean, you can cover up a lot of your body, I think, your burns, and that may be the reason why it wasn't so relevant, like you weren't bullied in primary school. But what happened in secondary school?
So I'm sorry about what you went through in Kenya. Stigma is all over the world, and I was reading a certain book that a man of God was asking, if we speak about God as a perfect being, where is the perfection that God has offered to him by giving him a disfigured child? And the person that answered the question answered it so perfectly. He said, everything that happens, the perfection might not be seen from your child, but the perfection should be seen from how you treat the child. So I think people treat you badly because they lack perfection in their hearts. They do not have the love of God. So for me in high school, what happened was, now my breasts began growing. My breasts were growing, and now, considering that one had been pulled down, there's this time that I was walking by, I was going to church, I think, and then this child tells their mother, "Mom, look at that girl, she has one breast on her stomach." So it dawned on me that I'm different, because nobody could ever see my scars. If I put on long clothes, you cannot even know. But that made me realize there's something wrong with me. And for the first time I felt...
She'll come back in.
Yeah, I'm back. So
Yeah,
for the
you are.
first time, yeah, I felt I can commit suicide. And I tried it, it didn't work. And I went to the pastor, the man of God, the church that I was going back then. And women have a way they really trust men of God. So, like, I think the female gender, because I was 14 years old. So when I went to the church and I told him about the girl and what he said, so this man of God told me that I should fast for 7 days, and after the seventh day, my stomach will start rumbling, and in the rumbles, I'll start there. My breast will go back to where it's supposed to be, and I'll have a nipple, and I'll be scarless. And I really wanted to be scarless that much. I really wanted to feel like every woman, how they feel having their two breasts and showing their cleavage and all that. And I fasted and nothing happened. So I go back and ask him, does the Spirit of God lie? He tells me, no, but also you cannot ask the question, like you cannot question the Spirit of God. So I gave up on that. So when I went to secondary school, I was in a boarding school. It was hard for me showing my scars during the bathing time. So I would wake up very early in the morning, around 3 o'clock Kenyan time, AM, go shower, and then go back to the bed until now the bell rings, and then I wake up. So when everyone else is going to the bathroom to shower, I remain there and put on my clothes. So
Okay.
it's in high school. Yeah, it's in high school and teenage years that I felt not worth it.
So you've already told us some of your challenges. So how did you feel when you, I believe that you're married and you've got a son. So how did you feel about being attractive? Because I felt that too. I felt, a real grief and real sorrow of, am I able to, or am I going to be able to, find a spouse? Am I going to have anyone that'll be interested in me? Did you have that experience too?
Very much. I never felt beautiful in any way. And people used to compliment me about my smile. So people would tell me, oh, you have such an amazing smile. Anytime someone complimented the smile and the eyes, I would say to myself, I wish these people knew what I was going through. And then, unfortunately, anytime I shared my story to maybe my girlfriends, they would tell me, at least yours cannot be seen. And then I tell people, whatever wound someone has, we are the ones that knows the pain. Someone with a facial disfigurement knows how it feels. Someone with a visible difference knows how it feels, and someone with a hidden difference knows how it feels. Because sometimes a man approaches you, they're approaching you for what they see. They do not know anything about you. You do not know how much time to wait until you tell them the truth. If you tell them too early, and you go for advice, someone will tell you maybe you should have waited.
Yeah,
If you wait for some time, people would think you were so selfish. You would have told them earlier. So you do not know the duration that you need to wait to tell them. And then anytime I told them, they would run away. Someone told me Afro cinema continues shortly, and then I was waiting for the Afro cinema. I was not expecting such a question. And then another one told me, but I've not tied you. So if you get a man, you go. So I spent my years feeling, we call it in Kenya washe moment. You feeling pity for yourself. You feeling like you're the victim, and you have that pick me up mentality. You want someone to just pick you up and validate you and remind you that you're beautiful and remind you that you're worth it. And unfortunately, not so many people will even validate you, because even when they do, you still feel they just want to make you feel good, but they don't mean it. Like you're so, like you feel you're so injured, your soul is so injured that you do not trust even the positive ones. So when I got married to my husband, I had started having some glitters of hope, of beauty towards my life, because a lot of times we hear people say sharing leads to healing. So it's then that I started going to the hospital and teaching people about accepting your body. So I would go to talk to people, the burn survivors. So I go to the hospital, I find victims of fire, I speak to them, I show them my photos, I tell them you can live. I never thought you can love your body. I thought you can live. So I was telling them, whether you're burned, whether you're disfigured, you can live. You can
This
live
is-
with the
This is a part of your journey, isn't it, to where you're working with Human Elevate, or your Human Elevate now? Because when I don't know how many years ago, we go back many years, don't we? Can you remember how we first met? Because I remember going into your Facebook page of burns and disfigurements, and maybe being able to help the ladies there. And that, so I've seen your growth from, you can get through this. You can just get through to being not only to thrive, but to successfully thrive and successfully do what you're doing now. So, and I also remember you having a little boy and pictures and celebrating your little boy and that sort of thing. So, and that concludes. I can't think of anything else. So thank you very much, Precious. Thank you.
Thank you, Zali.
By golly gosh, it's the end of Karibu Anawim's 15 minutes at Dr. Zali's Desk special. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember that all information given during this episode is for general application only. If you have any specific medical issues, as always, consult with your medical practitioner. Like, subscribe and share on whatever platform you find us on. For more information, please connect with Karibu Anawim on our website at karibuanawim.com or email us at inquiries@karibuanawim.com.